In the next 60 minutes here on News Night, President Mahama nominates 7 justices to the Supreme Court, sparking fresh controversy. Amidst process to remove Chief Justice, we hear from the opposition New Patriotic Party and also some lawyers who are all been reacting to this breaking in the last few minutes. Also tonight, opposition MPP defy growing internal calls to suspend its controversial thank you tour, which has been dogged by acrimony and violence as it distances itself from the stabbing incident which triggered the withdrawal of Kennedy Japan from the tour.
Let me make this clear. The party will resist any attempt to connect the unfortunate incident that happened, the stabbing, the young man. Will resist any attempt to connect, to make that nexus to the ongoing NU tour.
In business, World Bank approves $125 million to help Ghana tackle climate-related agricultural losses.
And in sports, we continue our coverage of the UEFA Champions League semi-final tonight from the HR residence in Dansoman as Barcelona hosts the Inter Milan at the Olympic Stadium in the first leg.
Thank you very much. We want to stay with us because we're going to bring you the very latest from the world of business and sports, plus your views and comments all here on News 905511119997. There's a line you want to join us on, and that breaking story coming from the presidency. We can now confirm to you that President John Dramani Mahama has nominated 7 justices to the Supreme Court, which is already sparking a fair measure of controversy, especially coming in the midst of the processes that have already been triggered for the removal of the Chief Justice, and a copy of this particular memo that has now been written to the Judicial Council that I have in my hand says that, quote, pursuant to Article 1442 of the Constitution of Ghana 1992, His Excellency, the President, has nominated the following justices of the Court of Appeal to be considered for appointment to the Supreme Court. And there are 7 of them. First is Justice Sir Dennis Dominic Ajay, Justice Simon Subare, Justice Senyor Jamefe, Justice Kweku Teria Akabuafo, Justice Philip Bright Mensah, Justice Janapari Bartels Kojo, and Justice Hafizata Amayaboba. 7 justices of the Superior Court who have today been nominated for consideration by the Council. And the second part of this letter says attached are their CVs. I trust that this Council will expedite action on their considerations. It says, please accept the assurances of my highest consideration. It's signed by Callistus Mahama, the Secretary to the President, and they also copied to the Acting Chief Justice, Judicial Council, Accra. Also attention, His Lordship, Justice Paul Baffo Boni. Of course, you know he is the acting CJ. Also copied to the Vice President and the Chief of Staff. And so if you're just joining us, this is the breaking news we're now learning and confirmed from the office of the President. 7 justices have now been nominated to the Supreme. Of them, Justice Dennis Dominic Ajay, Justice Simon Subare, Justice Senyor Jamefe, Justice Kweku Teria Akabuafo, Justice Philip Bright Mensah, Justice Bartels Kojo, and Justice Hafizata Amayaboba. And I want to quickly get some reactions to this developing story from Frank Davis. He's the chairman of the Constitutional and Legal Committee of the MPP. Joins me right now on the line. Martin Kwebu is also a lawyer. Both of them joining me as the story breaks. We're all learning about this literally in the last few minutes. Mr. Davis, reaction to this?
Yeah, thank you very much, Ivan. Good evening once again to your esteemed viewers and listeners. I would rather, Ivan, you introduced me as a senior member of the bar, so far as this matter is concerned. I mean, chairman of the Constitutional Legal Committee of the party, everybody knows, but I'm speaking as a senior member of the bar now. So I think it will have been best to introduce me that time. But thank you. Well, Ivan, interesting times ahead for the judiciary. I mean, of course, nobody can take away the rights of the president to nominate justices to the bench of the Supreme Court. So the constitutional prerogative is that of the president. The names that you have mentioned, from Sir Dennis to Afisata Amaliboba, I have had the privilege of practicing before all of them as justices of the High Court, the Court of Appeal, and now that they are being elevated to the Supreme Court. I mean, it is the expectation of every justice of the Superior Court of Judicature to be in the highest court of the land. So I can only congratulate them at this stage. And it's the expectation of reward that sweetens labor. But well, I don't know. I don't know.
What do you make of the timing? What do you make of the timing of this?
Yeah, that's where I was coming to. You know, I'm at pains to say this. But the comments of His Excellency the President at the forum where he addressed a group of lawyers who have categorized themselves as NDC lawyers. He made certain remarks, and that some lawyers should, in their midst, should, as it were, aspire to be on the bench so that there will be a balancing equation of the number of justices that His Excellency the President and Akufo-Addo had appointed onto the bench of the Supreme Court and the Court of Appeal and the High Court. So if on the back of that, the President should at this stage nominate 7 names for consideration by the Judicial Council to the Supreme Court. The optics for me is for Ghanaians to judge. Hey, I cannot. So far as the President has the constitutional prerogative to do that, it is in Mrs. Rabbit so to do. But how many justices do we have in the Supreme Court now? About, if I'm not mistaken, about 11, 12. So if you add 7, we are going to have about 19 justices. That is quite a number. But, hey, Evans, I'm not the president. I'm a trained lawyer and a citizen, but I leave the better judgment to Ghanaians, because if the idea is to balance the equation, to put as many justices in the Supreme Court or other courts just because President Akufo-Addo has done. When there are vacancies on the Supreme Court bench, yes, the President has the constitutional prerogative and rights to nominate and elevate justices from not only from the Court of Appeal, but from the High Court, depending on your industry and scholarship. You can be elevated to the Supreme Court. But the timing is a bit challenging. That's all I can say for now.
Thank you very much. That there is Frank Davis, Chair of the Constitutional Legal Committee of the NPP. I still have with me Martin. But with Martin, I'm curious to learn what your reaction is to it. First of all, when you first heard that the president already, less than 120 days into his administration, has nominated 7 justices to the Supreme Court. What was your initial reaction, Martin? Hello, Martin Kpebu. Okay, we may have lost him, but we'll bring him back for his reaction. And as you may know by now, a major developing story breaking in the last few minutes. President John Dramani Mahama has nominated 7 justices to the Supreme Court. And he also is asking the Judicial Council to expedite their consideration as a matter of urgency. The 7, if you're just joining us, are Justice Dennis Dominic J, Justice Simon Subare, Justice Senyo Jamefe, Justice Teria Akabuafo, Justice Bright Mensah, Justice Bartels Kweju, Justice Hafiz Atta Amaliboba. These are the 7 justices of the Court of Appeal who have now been elevated to the Supreme Court. This is a nomination, so the Judicial Council will have to consider the nomination that has been done by the President, and then it will go to the rest of the processes. We'll examine the constitutionality of this action pretty shortly, and thankfully, Martin Kpebu is with me. Martin, what was your initial reaction when you first learned of this?
Yeah, so I kind of was a bit surprised. Yeah, surprised because, you know, we had been making arguments a few months ago that before the numbers are increased, we should have a national conversation. So I'm like, hey, now, can we stick by previous words or we are going to change, you know? So that's a very serious matter because, you know, when Chief Justice Tokondo presented that list of 5 justices to the President for appointment to the Supreme Court, we came out and made a lot of noise. Amongst some of the arguments were the fact that before the number is increased beyond the conventional 15, there should be a national conversation. So I know that that list that had 5 was going to shoot the number beyond 15. That's 14 justices plus the Chief Justice, making it 15. So that list of 5 was going to take it beyond the 15. And the importance of the 15 is that during President Kufuor's time, under the African peer review mechanism, we were lashed for going beyond the conventional 14, 15, 10. So meaning that, and even in the GBA case versus Attorney General, etc., yes, there were references to it. So right now, with the list being 7, and also some people appearing to be far junior than some justices who have been on the Court of Appeal for longer, etc., I can see that the debate is going to be very robust, very, very robust. But it's good. It shows that citizens are getting more involved. Because when you look on the list, the people that we all have been hard done by are 3. Number 1 is Justice Senyo Jamefe. Number 2, Justice Dennis J. And then number 3, Justice Soribare. Yes. But beyond that, the other people, there's going to be a lot of arguments. The same arguments we're making, because people were making arguments that they are taking people who are far junior to us to the Supreme Court. So, and especially I know Senyo Jamefe and Dennis J. and Kodia case, it was so palpably wrong. We felt that no. Why you, I mean, if you thought they are not competent, which is not the argument, then at least bring out facts that will show so. So all the arguments we made a few months ago, the chicken have come home to roost. So we just have to repeat the same arguments. We can't say to want to, you know, change the hymn sheet. If we change, we'll be caught in a web of hypocrisy. So for now, I can't change my hymn sheet.
So repeat your position again for me then.
So we had said that, look, if you're going beyond 15, then there should be a national conversation. And this one dates way back to Adam Smith. Yeah, you see quotations from Adam Smith saying that in the matter, the economics, talking also about judicial matters. You see a paper that H.K.T. Prepede, the chairman of the Constitutional Review Commission, where Adam Smith said that, look, when it comes to appointing justices, citizens should be involved in the conversation. So we feel left out. We've not been involved in this conversation, especially as it appears this number will shoot it way beyond the 15 justices. So the convention is that we have 14 Supreme Court justices plus the Chief Justice, 15, right? Some even dispute it. Some say it's just 14, plus with the Chief Justice included. Others say it's 14 justices plus the Chief Justice, making it 15. So whichever way, if you add the 7, we are going way beyond 14 or 15.
So do I hear you say you are opposed to this action, this nomination, because it's fundamentally going to leave the bench with more than 15 justices?
Yes, to the extent that we've not had a national conversation. That is what we asked for the last time. We said, let's have a national conversation. If you are going to break a convention, let's sit around the table and then debate it robustly, right? Yes, issues of public interest should be robustly debated, right? Robust arguments back and forth. You see, Kweku Asare also did a long paper. Please dig them up. Let's read. You see all the arguments he presented. So basically, Evans, we are caught by our words and our arguments a few months ago. It's not, we cannot lightly shift our arguments. No, nothing is changed to warrant a shifting of the argument.
Give me your
Let
quick
the
thoughts.
public weigh in.
Give me your quick thoughts on what has happened tonight with the nomination. Is that due process?
You see, if you talk about formal due process, yes, but I'm making the strong argument that because the number is going beyond the conventional 14 or 15, we had asked for a national conversation.
My question is an attempt to move from there. I think you make that point very clearly. I'm just curious to know, the president appears to be initiating the process and nominating and asking the Judicial Council to consider. Is that what the process says, dictates? Is that what the Constitution dictates?
Oh, yes. So, there's a case called this GBA, versus Attorney General. The last one, that was when they were about appointing Professor Mensah Bonsu, right? Yes. And then the GBA went to court, blah, blah. Mafu Sound, no, that has a Mafu, not Mensah Bonsu. I think it was a Mafu Sound this round. That's the one that brought Foreman in. And then Mafu Sound was one of the persons that the bar felt should have been included, but he was not included. So the GBA went to court. And then the Supreme Court said, so you are interested in, is that due process? Yes. The Supreme Court said yes. Due process. The president can nominate, the bar can also nominate, right? Yes. So there's that, then the Judicial Council. So it goes to the Judicial Council, then the Judicial Council looks at them, and then advises the president. So the good thing now is that it says that the president cannot go outside the list that the Judicial Council will present.
So what it means is that although the president has sent 7, the Judicial Council can come back and say we believe only 5 really merit an appointment to the Supreme Court, and the president has no choice than to stay within that limit.
Yes. And within that 5, that one he has a liberty to maybe choose number 5 and number 4 and leave out number 1, 2, 3 if he wishes. It's that one that presents an interesting scenario. Maybe in future they will look at how to further tighten.
Martin, thank you very much. And that is Martin Kpebude giving us his thoughts on the breaking news coming in the last 30 minutes. Also, where the nomination of 7 justices to the Supreme Court. As I speak right now, there is another developing story around the former National Signal Bureau boss, Kwabena Dubois, who has tonight also been charged with 11 counts, including stealing, defrauding by false pretense, and causing financial loss in that $7 million contract scandal. The Attorney General just left court a short while ago. He's addressing a news conference right now. I want to take you live there.
One Mildred Donko, a former employee of UMB Bank, who resigned just in time to join in the criminal enterprise, and a company called Advantage Solutions Limited, a holding company owned by Mr. Edubohi and his wife, which received a substantial portion of the funds and was used as a conduit for funneling the funds into other companies owned by them. These other companies are Vertex Properties Limited, Vertex Solutions, and of course the famous BNC Communications Bureau Limited, which was, if you remember, that was a vehicle that was used to steal the 49,100,000 Ghana cedis from the national security accounts. Based on the evidence on the docket, we have charged Mr. Edubohi with stealing, 3 counts of stealing, 1 count of defrauding by false pretenses, another count of willfully causing financial loss to the state, another count of using public office for profit and money laundering. His wife, Angela Ajay Boateng, has been charged with conspiracy to steal, collaboration to commit the crime of using public office for private benefit or profit, conspiracy to commit money laundering and money laundering. In the case of Mildred Donko, we have charged her with 2 counts of conspiracy to commit money laundering and money laundering. The same goes for the company known as Advantage Solutions. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, my fellow countrymen and women, I am keenly aware of the criticisms that were leveled against me after my March 2025 press conference. In particular, some of our compatriots accused me of judging Mr. Edubohi and his dear wife prior to filing charges, and others opined that what I said of them should have been left to the courts to decide. I respectfully disagree for a number of reasons. The first is that I said nothing at that press conference that suggested even remotely that their guilt had been predetermined. Far from that. As the Attorney General of this Republic, I am the first to acknowledge that no matter how watertight the evidence of a prosecutor is, the accused is still entitled to be presumed innocent until proven guilty. That is a principle enshrined in Article 19 of our Constitution. And I cannot go against that cardinal principle. The second reason why I disagree with those of my fellow countrymen and women who think that the matters are dealt with at these press conferences should be left to the courts is that the constitutions require that we act, at least in public office, with probity and accountability. I see these press briefings, including the one I'm having today, as a way of breathing life into those cardinal values of our Constitution. Lastly, I think that there is absolutely nothing wrong with a prosecutor exhibiting confidence in his case. With particular reference to the case under review, the diligent investigations by the Economic and Organized Crimes Office led by Mr. Raymond Archer gives me a high level of hope and confidence that, all things being equal, I will obtain convictions on most, if not all, of the charges that I have preferred today. Besides the documentary evidence involving bank statements, deposit slips, check numbers, and so on and so forth, we have persons with deep knowledge of the matter who have agreed to testify at the trial. Persons with very deep knowledge, primary persons who were close to the action, have agreed after having been, interrogated, about what they know, they have agreed to testify in this matter. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, my fellow countrymen and women, between March 2025, when I announced the arrest and detention of Mr. Edubohi and his accomplices, and now, there has been some speculation as to whether my press conference was yet another piece of political propaganda. Some media houses actually claimed that I had been deceived into holding a press conference and that I had in turn misled His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, the President of the Republic. Let it be known that unlike some presidents in the past who were misled, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama is on top of his brief and cannot be misled. Indeed, if any appointee would mislead the President, it would not be his Attorney General. So everything I have told the President, I have evidence to prove it, and the docket is replete with documentary evidence of the wrongdoing that has been investigated. Having said that, I wish to let it be known that the delay in filing charges came about because our diligent investigation team came across yet another scheme hatched by Mr. Edubohin, this time involving Ghana Water Company Limited. This criminal enterprise involved the purported provision of secured internet services to Ghana Water Company Limited by the erstwhile Bureau of National Communications, now National Signals Bureau. The contract document showed that Ghana Water was to pay BNC, that is the national BNC, the sum of 650,000 Ghana cedis every 2 weeks for secured internet services from BNC, that is the Bureau of National Communications. However, for purposes of the payment, Kobina Edubohin provided the account details of his company, BNC Communications Bureau Limited, to Ghana Water, which religiously paid for the internet services. In other words, every 2 weeks when 650,000 Ghana cedis of money from Ghana Water left the bank accounts of Ghana Water, instead of going to the National Signals Bureau account, it went to the account of a company known as Bureau of National Communications, owned by Kobina Edubohin and his wife. Okay? And then they did what they wanted to do with the money. So for every month, Ghana Water paid 1.3 million Ghana cedis to Kobina Edubohin and his company in exchange for internet services provided by the government. Because remember that the National Signals Bureau is a government agency. Now come to think of it, that the government agency is providing secure internet services to Ghana Water Limited, a limited liability company solely owned by the same government. And Ghana Water is spending money that they do not have, okay, to pay for internet services at that cost, 1.3 million Ghana cedis every month. In fact, the figure rose to 1.5 million Ghana cedis every month at the close of our investigations. Now, you remember that in 2020, Bureau of National Communications became National Signals Bureau. And so, because the contract documents stipulated that the payments be made to Bureau of National Communications, Ghana Water then demanded that the check payments be made to National Signals Bureau because of the change in the corporate identity of BNC. What then happened was that any time the check was made out to National Signals Bureau and it landed in the accounts of National Signals Bureau, Kobina Edubohin, as Director of National Signals Bureau, would then immediately write a check to himself and transfer the money. From our investigations, you can see the movement of the money. Immediately it comes from Ghana Water, he signs a check and transfers the money into his personal company account. Now, today something happened in court. Counsel for the defense told the judge that whatever I had said was a figment of my own imagination. But of course, he is entitled to earn his fee. So he can say that. I have been briefed constantly and regularly. I've seen the evidence. And anybody who knows me knows that if I haven't seen the evidence, I won't be in front of you today. I've seen the evidence. The reason why some people have opted to testify is because they know that the case is watertight. So, counsel can continue to say what he's saying, but when we present the evidence in court, he will know that this is far from being imaginative. I have a very fertile imagination, but not in this case. So, ladies and gentlemen of the media, significant progress has also been made in other investigations being conducted in relation to the oral briefs presented to me in February. The investigations by the National Intelligence Bureau have been equally thorough under the direction of its Director General, Mr. Alhassan Kipo, and guided by the team in my office, most often led by the Deputy Attorney General, Dr. Srem Sai. In respect of the SkyTrain matter, we have completed investigations and will be filing charges hopefully next week. We have established that $2 million United States of American dollars was paid by the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund without board approval. The only persons who knew and acted on the payment were the former CEO, Mr. Solomon Asamoah, and the former board chairman, Professor Ameyao Ekunfi. Both will be charged next week. The docket is ready. We know the charges we are filing against them, so they will be charged next week. Some of the board members have offered to testify as witnesses for the prosecution, and I am considering their offers. And usually what I do is that when you offer to testify, I sign an agreement with you, and I immunize you from prosecution either today or in the future. So that is what I'm doing with those who are making offers. So if you know, if you're a whistleblower, you know of any crime that has taken place, please come. Even if you are marginally involved, I'm prepared to cut a deal, and then we can deal with the actual criminals. Now, the investigation in the National Service Ghost Names scandal has also progressed well, and we will be filing charges against some of the persons involved from the first week of May, also, in a few days' time. Other matters such as National Cathedral, mathematical sex, senior high school Wi-Fi are also nearing completion, and dockets are being prepared for prosecutions to begin. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, my fellow countrymen and women, as your Attorney General, I wish to assure you that I have sufficient reserves of integrity to continue to perform the task assigned me by His Excellency, the President of the Republic. I have never stolen before in my life and have never received a bribe in public office. All those who have dealt with me know this for a fact, and the President would not have appointed me his Attorney General if he had questions about my personal integrity. That is why it came to me as a big surprise when the Honorable Member for Gomoa Central, the Honorable Kwame Asare-Obeng, aka A+, took to social media to make spurious allegations against me, calling me corrupt and a thief. Besides the name calling, the Facebook post in its totality was a palpable falsehood. I was never involved in the passage of the sanitation levy, as I was not a member of the Finance Committee of Parliament, let alone to be in a position to influence the composition of the membership of the committee. And I have the Hansard as documentary support for what I'm saying. I have the votes and proceedings of Parliament. Unfortunately, I left them in the office. I think I have them here. Yes. So for the media, the report of the committee as well as the vote and proceedings are here. If you want to do some research on the matter that he alleged that I was involved and I channeled, I made sure that the membership of the committee was, changed, and then the monies from the sanitation levy were channeled to my friend, and so on and so forth. I'm not friends with whoever was the beneficiary of the sanitation levy. But interestingly, A+ warned me in the post not to do anything silly and that he will come after me if I did. That is laughable. First of all, I do not act silly because I think through the consequences of my actions, not only for my person, but also for others. That is what we were taught in Notre Dame Minor Seminary, and I am proud to say, without fear of any contradiction, that I have kept faith with that principle. Secondly, the threat is laughable because I have nothing to hide. I am reliably informed that his basis of saying that I am corrupt and a thief is that I took campaign contribution from a businessman at East Legon known as Dr. Sledge, and that he also knows the people who donated pickups for my campaign. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if receiving donations for your campaign or getting a pickup for a campaign is thievery or corruption, then there are 276 thieves in Parliament, including the person who was making the allegation himself. So, ladies and gentlemen, if A+ has any evidence of corruption or thievery against me, I am challenging him today to call a press conference and present the evidence or present it to the police to investigate me. In contrast, the media should ask him about the silly thing that I was about to do, which frightened him so much into making that silly post about me. He should be asked what he knows about the National Service ghost name scandal and related matters. If he can give truthful answers to these questions, then Ghanaians will know why he took to social media to do what he did. But let him be warned that in my hometown of Zorungu, we do not fear mud being thrown at us. On the contrary, we walk into the mud to deal with the person doing the mud slinging. And I am prepared to walk into the mud with A+. Because what I have about him and the National Service scandal, he should come and tell you. I'm challenging him. He should come and tell you, the media, and stop cowardly hiding behind social media to make baseless allegations against people who have worked hard to earn a reputation. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think I will end here. Thank you.
And you're still live, your News 90s on Joy 99.7 FM. That is the Attorney General addressing a major news conference at the back of a significant day for him in the court. It is the first major corruption trial of the John Mahama administration, and he went to court today with a bang. We know now that the former National Signals Bureau boss, Kwabena Dubois, has now been charged with 11 counts, including stealing, defrauding by false pretense, and causing financial loss to the state. We just had details of that in this particular press conference. And a host of other cases he's now promising will all go to trial, some as soon as next week. I want to bring in my court correspondent, member of the legal desk. He just returning from the court. He was there for the drama. And there's a point that he made there at this particular press conference. By the way, I thought he was done, but he's back now with a few more comments. So let's listen in. I'll come back to you, Lateef. Stay with me.
The provision of secured internet services by a government agency. That is what happened. I thank you very much for your attention, and once again, sorry for the delay in addressing you. I think we can now take questions unless you are satisfied with everything I've said.
Okay, and we'll be taking questions there. We have our own Kweku Asante in the audience, and we'll be filing questions. We are now seeing that the government official spokesperson, Felix Kwakye Fosu, is now about to facilitate that next part of this particular press conference. But I want to come to you, Lateef. One major thing he said about what happened in court today. He references the comments made by Eduboahing's lawyer, who had accused him of concocting, I guess, the evidence, and that everything else that he's been talking about since a month ago is a figment of his imagination, as the Attorney General's imagination. What really happened in court?
So, to address this particular question, emotions got high when the learned Attorney General started getting to the meat of the matter itself, when he told the judge that Eduboahing is a flight risk because during the course of the investigations, surveillance that is available to the Attorney General's office shows that he attempted to interfere with a particular witness, which according to the Attorney General is the last witness they are trying to call in to testify in this particular matter. And this first accused person, that is Eduboahing, attempted to interfere with that particular investigations by getting in touch with the witness or potential witness, if you like. He also made a point that there is a real danger of the first accused person leaving the country if he is granted bail, and that even though he was on bail, the surveillance, like I indicated, showed that he was trying to interfere with investigations. At that point, Atachia came in and said the point the Attorney General was making before the court has no foundation, and that he came to court, he rushed to court based on emotions and not with any particular fact that can support his claim that he has surveillance that shows that Eduboahing tried to interfere with investigations by getting in touch with one particular potential witness that they look forward to call and bring in. At that point, the Attorney General didn't take it lightly. He stood up and made it clear to the judge that he took exception to that claim by Atachia. It was back and forth, but the judge succeeded in calling them to order, and then proceeding continued smoothly without any altercations.
And so that just giving us context around why the Attorney General obviously had taken issue with that particular comment made by Atachia. But take me to the courtroom. We know that Eduboahing came there today, not only himself, but he came with a wife.
Yeah.
Their pleas were taken, correct?
Exactly.
Both of them pled
not guilty to all the 11 counts. I mean, Eduboahing was the first, followed by the wife, and then there was a third person. This third person has been on police inquiry bail. If you recall, Eduboahing and his wife are on a court bail. But the third accused person, or A3, has been on police inquiry bail. In fact, she was granted bail before Eduboahing and his wife were granted the court bail. All three, so we have 4 suspects in this case, or 4 accused persons, I must say. The 4th accused person is the company. The company that, according to the Attorney General, Eduboahing and his wife are both directors, and the wife is the sole shareholder of that particular company. According to Dr. Ayene, when they first started interrogating Eduboahing and his wife, both of them denied any links or knowledge about the company. And now it has turned out after thorough investigations that indeed Eduboahing and his wife are directors of this company, and the wife is the sole shareholder of that company. The company which they used, according to the Attorney General, to transfer and siphon monies belonging to the state and launder the money. The third accused, so that is...
That,
so
as we speak tonight, is an allegation that yet to be proven in court, but at least that's the position of the Attorney General.
Of the Attorney General. So the 4th accused person, or the first entity, is the company. The 3rd accused person used to be a banker. And so according to the Attorney General, she used her own expertise within the banking sector to facilitate the transfer of monies from the government coffers through to the company set up by Eduboahing and his wife to their private company, and to the benefit of Eduboahing, his wife, and then the third accused person.
And very quickly, Lateef, also today, at some point, lawyers for Edubuahing attempted to get the court to adjourn the case. How was that resolved? But also the question around flight risk. Did he still get bail?
He got the bail. So that was the position of Atachia, that the Attorney General couldn't provide any foundation reasons why he thinks or suspects that Edubuahing is a flight risk. The Attorney General then came in forcefully and made the point that surveillance available to him clearly shows that Edubuahing is a flight risk, and he attempted to interfere with investigations. And that was the point where the judge said, okay, now I'm hearing two stories here. How to verify the story, I'm inviting you, Atachia, and the Attorney General to my office in Chambers, in camera, on Friday. That is just one day apart. On Friday, the Attorney General and Atachia are expected to meet the trial judge in camera so that further disclosures are made by the Attorney General, because he says he has surveillance that shows that Edubuahing attempted to interfere with the investigations. At that meeting with the trial judge, he is expected to make available these disclosures for the judge to make a determination whether or not to grant bail or to remand Edubuahing into prison custody.
So presumably the Attorney General today had asked that he be remanded.
Exactly.
Together with the wife.
Exactly.
Together with the wife.
Together with the wife and the third accused person. But at the point, he changed his position. He tried to be magnanimous. So he said, I don't have a problem if the wife and the third accused person are granted bail, or they still maintain their bail conditions, because as we know, the wife is on court bail, and then the third accused person is on a police inquiry bail. Dr. Ayini says he doesn't have a problem if the court maintains the current bail condition for the wife and then the third accused person. His challenge is Edubuahing, the first accused person. He suspects that the guy is a flight risk, and so the court should deny him bail. That determination is expected to be made on Friday after a meeting at 9 a.m. in camera between Atachia, Dr. Ayine, the Attorney General, and then the trial judge.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much, Lateef. And you want to catch the latest on this as it evolves. Attorney General is still speaking. We'll have more for you on Joy News Prime. It's at 7 p.m. Lateef will be there. We'll also be getting the very latest from our correspondent at that particular press conference, Kweku Asante, for you. Plus, the breaking news in the last hour, the nomination of 7 justices to the Supreme Court by President John Mahama, which is attracting a fair bit of controversy. We've already had lawyers, including Martin Kpebu, say they are opposed to the move because fundamentally for him, it is going to leave the Supreme Court with more than 15 judges, and he says that he believes is going to be a breach of the convention, and so he's opposed to that. You want to stay with us here on Joy 99.7 FM. Go to our many social media platforms on myjoyonline.com for the very latest on these developing stories. Let's do some business now. And James Ishan is here with the latest.
All right, so coming up in business this evening, World Bank approves $125 million to help Ghana tackle climate-related agricultural losses, and Petroleum Hub Development Corporation collaborate with other agencies in the energy sector to streamline entry registration processes to attract more investors. Business News on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one stop shop for all office essentials, Syntex tanks, and Pepsodent Herbal and Charcoal. Welcome back to Business on Newsnight. I am James Shen. We settle for the details now, and the World Bank Board of Directors have approved an additional financing for the second phase of the West Africa Food System Resilience Program, aimed to help Ghana strengthen its capacity to address food insecurity and build resilient food systems. The following report has more.
The $125.9 million financing, funded by a combination of International Development Association credit and the grants from the Food Systems 2030 Multi-Door Trust Fund, will help replenish resources diverted to support farmers affected by floods and drought and to enhance sustainable intensification of tomato production. More specifically, the financing will support digital advisory services aimed at enhancing agricultural and food crisis management through improved access to data on weather patterns, nutrition, and food security, as well as better pest and disease monitoring. It will also invest in building the sustainability and adaptive capacity of the food system's productive base, promoting environmentally sound agricultural practices to strengthen resilience to environmental and economic disruptions. Additionally, the program will facilitate regional food market integration and trade to improve food security across borders.
And that was a news desk report. Now, the Petroleum Hub Development Corporation has announced that it is working closely with other agencies in the energy sector to streamline the registration process from 150 days to 30 for energy sector players seeking to operate in Ghana. According to the Chief Executive of the Petroleum Hub Development Corporation, Dr. Tony Obeng, this will enable potential investors to navigate the system more efficiently and make informed decisions about investing in the Petroleum Hub. He spoke to Joy Business.
For this conference is to establish a one-stop shop that will handle all these permitting processes within 30 days. We want to move away from the 418 days that we saw, from the 321 days that we saw, to 30 days. If we have all the entities together, we can do that in 30 days. In some countries, if you want to register a company, you do it in a day. In a day, you have if your document, your everything is ready, in a day, you have a registered company. In Ghana, we say 5 days, we say 3 days, but sometimes it takes a long time also. So that's what we are trying to. We are trying to break the bureaucratic inertia.
Dr. Tony Obeng is the Chief Executive of the Petroleum Hub Development Corporation. Next, MTN Ghana has recorded total revenue of about 5.4 billion Ghana cedis, representing 39.4% increase for the first quarter of 2025 compared to the same period last year. This was contained in the company's financial performance from January to March 2025, published by the Ghana Stock Exchange. The following report highlights the key performances.
The company posted a profit after tax of over 1.7 billion cedis for the same period. The Chief Executive Officer of MTN Ghana, Stephen Blewett, attributed the performance to strategic initiatives and investment across key business lines such as data, digital services, voice communications, and mobile money. According to the statement, service revenue increased by 39.6% to about 5.3 billion Ghana cedis compared to the same period last year.
And that was a news desk report. And that's all for Business on Newsnight. I am James Chen Evans.
James, thank you very much. There is a lot happening as far as breaking news is concerned. And you want to get on to Joy News right now because Prime Minister was starting at the latest for you, and the Attorney General is still speaking, and so there's a lot more you're learning. Especially, we're also learning that he is going to file fresh charges against the former Signals Bureau boss, where, as it relates to what he alleges was siphoning of money from the state through the Ghana Water Company that was paying them monies for data services that was supposed to be paid into the official accounts, but he alleges were rather being siphoned into a private account. He says he's going to file a fresh charge against the former Signals Bureau boss. All that plus the very latest from the Supreme Court nominations on Joy News. But for now, though, there is a major sporting activity happening right now. I'm talking about the Champions League. There's a big game many of you are interested in. It's a Champions League match between Barcelona and Inter Milan, and it's live here on Joy 99.7 FM.